Let's now, though, return to the brave Iranian football players. Thankfully, we've got 5 now granted asylum in Australia after they escaped their handlers at a Gold Coast hotel. They're on a plane from the Gold Coast now, the team, to Sydney Airport. We're not sure what's happening then. One of my guests, though, now might know. Noz Hosseini is from the Iranian Women's Association, and she joins me here in Melbourne. Thank you for your time. I want to say from the outset, this network, so many Australians are behind you, the diaspora and the Iranian community. I can't fathom what you're going through. We were just talking off air, and you have family in Iran. This is a worrying time.
It really is, and thank you so much for having me on the show, Peta. And thank you so much for your solidarity. It really does mean a great deal. That
are you in contact? Are you able to reach your family over there?
No, there's been an internet and telecommunications blackout, so it's virtually impossible to reach family and loved ones. So we're not sure if they're dead or alive.
Right.
No updates.
Okay, let's talk about these women. We've got 5 now that they've put up their hand, they've sought asylum, it's been granted, they've got a 1-year visa from the Australian government. There are some reports that more in the team would like to remain in Australia. What can you tell us?
So my understanding is that one of the girls who was seen being pulled away by one of her teammates really wanted to stay, and she spoke to members of the Department of Home Affairs, and she expressed an interest in learning more and finding out what her options are, but said that she'd like to consult with her family. And of course, given the internet blackout and communications blackout, she wasn't able to reach her family, but eventually did. And they pleaded with her to return to Iran. And it's quite a difficult situation to be in, and such a difficult decision to make.
I'm keen on your assessment, because we saw that imagery from the Iranian state TV where they'll be treated very severely. He says something like more severely because it's a time of wartime. Well, we already know how women are treated in Iran. So to go home, I want to know from you what you think they're going to face. But of course, if they stay here, the retaliation could be visited upon their families. So either way, they're either potentially harming themselves or harming those they love.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. They need to weigh up whether they would like to risk their family's life and stay here, or return and obviously risk their own lives as well. And I think that there will definitely be repercussions.
You do?
I do. We've seen that play out time and time again. We've seen athletes like Navid Afkari, who was a famous wrestler, who was made an example of, and he was executed. And during the Woman Life Freedom Movement, his sister and his young niece were arrested and put in prison. So this is a little young baby, an infant, that was also thrown into prison. So
some people at home would be thinking, gosh, if they decide to go back, when they could have stayed here, the regime might decide to say, okay, well, you could have stayed, you've decided to come back, we'll go easy on you, I suppose. You don't think that's the case?
No, I don't think so. I think that the regime is hell-bent on making an example of anyone who dares to speak out. And the Iranian Prosecutor-General recently announced that anybody in the diaspora who's speaking out against the regime is going to face severe repercussions.
And someone like you?
Yeah, and they'll be perceived as being supporters of the enemy. And by enemy, I mean Israel and America in the regime's perspective. So this includes members of the diaspora community who are attending protests where there are Israeli flags being flown. So whether they support Israel or not, they're going to be imputed with a political opinion in that they do support Israel and America. And if they are to return, we have people here on student visas, visitor visas, and other sorts of visas, as well as refugees. So if they do return, they will face the full force of the law in Iran, should they, and the regime is very well resourced in terms of its surveillance. It uses very sophisticated imagery and AI.
They had a reach, obviously, into Australia with terrorism.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I mean, we're all going to watch closely what happens at Sydney Airport in the next hour or so. I think it's in the next hour we will see the team pass through the airport. Just you personally, have you been disappointed? I mean, we saw all those marches for months and months on end for people in Gaza. Led by a terrorist state. Where are the marches? Where is the mass community support for the people of Iran? Is that disappointing you?
It really is disappointing. Women in Iran have been struggling under very repressive conditions, and their voices have been stifled. They've been met with rape and bullets every time they dare to speak up and stand up against this regime. And now that they've reclaimed their voices and are calling for a complete overthrow of this regime and a complete dismantling of the system, we do need to take it upon ourselves as Australians and stand up for the people of Iran. And it is very disappointing that it feels like it's just the diaspora community and some people outside of our community that are marching against the repressive regime.
I hope we get there. I really hope we get there.
I hope so too.
You're brave. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Noz.